I find that I'm strangely leery when it comes to movies or series that revolve heavily around animals, especially dogs. I often worry that incorporating them into a story is an easy attempt to manipulate people emotionally. There's a reason why, in film jargon, there's the cliche of the hero's pet the dog moment to establish that the good guy is good, as opposed to the bad guy's kick the dog moment
Just stop.
to establish that we're dealing with a douche. I'm cynical about it because it feels like the lowest hanging fruit to pluck at our heartstrings. So when I heard about Good Boy, not just a movie, but a horror movie no less, told from a dog's perspective, well, my metaphorical hackles went up. However, having now watched the movie, I'm happy to say that, like an old forgotten bone buried in the yard, my misgivings were misplaced. But seriously, who'd use a dog for cheap approval? I mean, what kind of person does that sort of thing? Oh, what's that, Butchie? What's that, boy? Oh, yes, Butchie says like, comment, and subscribe. Fortunately, the movie Good Boy doesn't do that. Yeah, you're a good boy. It's a clever movie that tells a powerful story through a smart use of perspective, sparing visual effects, and ultimately delivers a narrative that is, at the end of the day, quite powerful. My name is Sheep, that over there is Butchie, and we both want to invite you to this review of Good Boy. Are you a good boy? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're a good boy. Okay, all right, those are my glasses. That's okay. He's a good boy. Shall we do that again? As of writing this review, it is currently spooky season, and I know it's a little cliched, but I've been on the prowl for good horror movies to review. I do enjoy a little bit of dread in my media consumption from time to time. So, naturally, being a big softie for dogs, I had concerns watching Good Boy. Quick synopsis. Todd, who's going through some health issues, decides to take a break from it all, packs up and heads out to his grandfather's old abandoned cabin far from the madding crowd with his good boy Indy. And yes, that's the dog's real name.
We named the dog Indiana.
Got a lot of fond memories of that dog.
But Indy starts noticing an evil presence. On the surface, this feels like your bog-standard cabin-in-the-woods flick, with an evil entity stalking among the trees. The shtick being that this is all experienced from the dog's POV, and yes, I'm actually using POV correctly here. The movie is told through the dog's perspective. But, naturally, the story isn't told. The dog doesn't actually speak, but is shown. And I guess that's where the movie really shines. This is a textbook interpretation of storytelling that shows and doesn't tell. Perfectly justified due to the nature of our furry hero. Tension is heightened as Indy seems to be the only one who can see and sense the evil entity. This, of course, plays cleverly off how dogs can seemingly perceive things we mere humans cannot. I mean, how often have you seen dogs staring intently at nothing or savagely barking at thin air? There is some clever filmmaking here. The camera is often positioned below eye line, filming the world as a dog would see it. People's faces are seldom in focus or obscured, placing more focus on Indy. It's almost like a twist on the old horror trope of never showing the monster properly, because you don't see humans properly for most of the movie. And there's kind of a reason for that. But the thing that impressed me the most about the movie is that Indy is a real dog. No goofy animatronics or uncanny CGI. Even with how far visual effects have come along, we can still instinctively know when we're not watching a real dog. And especially in a horror, or should I actually say, a suspenseful movie, this works particularly well with the CGI threat and the noticeable ADR from the human cast. There's a juxtaposition between what's real and what's not. And this all hinges on Indy being an actual living, breathing dog who puts in an amazing performance. Whenever the dog's in frame, it's almost like the movie is saying,
This you can trust.
because there's no movie trickery going on. And all accolades to Ben Leonberg, the man behind the movie, and, incidentally, Indy's owner, for pulling this off. There's that old showbiz expression, never work with children or animals. Too true. I mean, my silly little intro at the start with Butchie took over 20 takes. I mean, at one point, my good boy tried to eat my lav mic. But it begs the question, how did Leonberg get this right with no telltale cinema trickery? Well, it's easy when you take nearly 3 years for principal photography. You just don't see that level of dedication in movie making these days. I know I'm not the only one who feels that as soon as the movie industry finds some clever shortcut to sling out content, it gets overused, whether it's de-aging visual effects or the use of the volume soundstage. We can't always put our finger on it, but when we see it, we somehow know we're wandering down the uncanny valley. I genuinely worried for Indy in this movie, not because I was being emotionally manipulated by seeing a dog in peril, but because I knew I was watching something authentic. And the reward for this is a story that is surprisingly poignant. A tale, if you will, of a dog protecting his human. I do, however, have one minor criticism, and that is I did figure out very quickly the nature of the evil Indy was pitted against. Especially if you've gone through, I've got to choosing my words carefully here, especially if you've gone through certain life experiences, you'll pick up what the story is putting down. And why specifically, it's Indy that's up against this terror. In spite of that, though, I actually ended up enjoying the movie more when the shoe dropped. So, in the spirit of that, I am going to do something that I never do, and I hate when people do it. I am going to drop a mild spoiler. If you rather not know anything about the movie, going in as blind as possible, feel free to click off the video now, and I thank you for watching this far. However, I do feel it's important to drop this because I know for many, many people this is a deal breaker for watching movies, and I heartily believe this movie should be watched and supported by as many people as possible. You ready? Okay, here it is. If you are concerned that you're going to watch this movie and see a dog getting physically hurt on screen, you don't need to worry. That's not what the movie is actually about. And you can take that from the guy who punched out of the excellent series Midnight Mass after the second episode. If you know, you know. Screw you, Mike Flanagan, you talented, brilliant bastard. Be that as it may, I feel like this review has spoken around the movie a lot. And I think I haven't intentionally dived into it too deeply because I want people to just watch it and appreciate it. And coming in at just under 80 minutes, that's not a tall ask. I also kind of feel like I'm enjoying movies that are somewhat shorter and snappier, that don't make massive demands of my time. See my K-pop Demon Hunters video for my cheering on of well-paced content. Plug, 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 plug. I went into Good Boy with trepidation. I thought it was going to be either a movie that leaned too hard on a singular gimmick or just an hour-plus long TikTok pet video. Instead, I got a clever, well-made movie that is surprisingly heartfelt. A true labor of love with a universal message. Dogs have been our companions for thousands of years. And while they can't protect us from every threat, from all evils, they will always, be at our side, facing what is to come.